This is Herd Mountain.
Herd Mountain?
Herd, H-E-A-R-D, is in
Like Herd Island.
Yeah, it's in southern Albemarle.
Megabits through that.
So I've done a bunch of these for various sites, including sites in neighboring counties. For example, from UVA has an observatory in a place called Fan Mountain. That turns out to be a pretty good site. From Fan, got line of sight to Spears Mountain, which is what, Buckingham. And WW4GW has a big FM repeater set up on Spears, and I bet it's down there. So that gets us to Spears, which gets us next county south. Places up here get us up to the north to connect to neighbors to the north. So we've got lots of options just from this one site, and that's just the beginning.
Is that software
standalone, or do you have to use in conjunction with something like Google Earth to get the local maps?
This software is standalone. It downloads terrain maps.
So you give it the lat and longitude.
In one right.
That's amazing.
Okay, I'm going to shut up. I've been talking a whole lot longer than I thought I was going to talk.
Did you finish the question about what the average guy or the average amateur radio equipment does?
Yeah. Oh no, I don't think I did finish the answer to that. So the stuff that you already have, your radio that does 2 meter, whether it's standalone or an HF, VHF, UHF, like I've got in my shop, isn't going to do you any good for this. It's all filtered for sort of voice communications. You got a 2.9 gigahertz passband on the front end of the radio, and this is all much higher bandwidth than that. So even if we had some 70 centimeter sites up, they're running 20, 40 megahertz bandwidth. So you need a new radio. The setup to get on 70 centimeter, like I say, that dish is about $80. The Omni, the radio and the antenna together, 150, something like that. So it's not terribly expensive stuff compared with everything else we buy for home radio. Cable is, I forget what I paid for good UV shield cable, 20 cents a foot or something like that. No, less than that. How much? Yeah, it's got to be less than that. I paid 120 for water reel.
Water reel, something. About 60 cents.
Shielded cat outdoor shielded cat.
So at any rate, cable, you can spend some money on cable. First, you got to figure out how to get out there. So you have to hire somebody to climb. I tell you, if you have to hire somebody to climb your tower to put it up, that's going to be the biggest expense. The 70 centimeter stuff, I have not started playing with. I was just about to order a couple 70 centimeter mesh setups, and that's when my wife started giving me the dirty looks, and so I didn't do it. But if somebody else wanted to try it.
It's a new band, you need a new rig, but it's Bofang kind of money, not Yeezy.
So the Microtech router, basically you buy a router, it's called a router board from this company called Microtech. I think they're from Slovakia or they're in Europe someplace. It's European. No, European. They're European. Microtech is European. But you can get them lots of distributors in the US. The router with the slot to plug the radio into in an enclosure is going to set you back $60 or $70 in an outdoor enclosure. The 70 centimeter mesh radio is, I think they're selling it for $170 now, made by an outfit called Zagal, which is a Canadian company. So you're going to be into it for $250 or so right now for a 70 centimeter mesh node. Plus an antenna. Antenna's going to cost you something. The 70 centimeter stuff is low volume, is what you were talking about before. It's low volume, limited number of manufacturers, so the price is relatively higher. By the time you get done doing a 70 centimeter node, it's going to be $400.
What are we using, our own computers or smartphones? What are we using as an input-output device?
Anything that has an IP, that can take an IP address, computer, smartphone, whatever you want to use. This network, you can run anything you can do over the internet, you can do over this network, modulo part 97. Yeah, I mean, one of the things, frankly, I think one of the interesting challenges, we can understand, for example, we can understand and take the position that we cannot encrypt traffic over this network. There's a lot of software out there for which you can't turn encryption off.
That's right.
You know, they assume that encryption is a good thing in the internet world. It is.
Typically it is, yeah.
And I'll revise something I said earlier that being able to encrypt it if you store it was only, I think, for certain like non-standard spread spectrum or something like that.
There's some.
But it was something for communication. It won't cover things like net traffic, you know, or HIPAA. You know.
Right, and all this sort of stuff. So, you know, I'm going to run this network unencrypted, and I'm not talking about services today, but in fact, I've had help from some of the people in this room testing some things, chat, voice conferencing, video conferencing, file sharing, all of that sort of stuff. All of the software that I've got running, I've got a server set up and running in my office at work, actually, through good offices and EDA. And all of the software that I'm running for that is open source because if the software package doesn't already support disabling encryption, if it's open source, I can go in and fix it so it does. So we can turn off encryption on at least the services that I run for areas.
Could you address how does D-Star fit in with all this, or does it?
I confess I don't know
Proprietary radio.
Open source key.
D-Star could certainly fit. D-Star supports digital data transmission. I don't like the relatively proprietary nature of it and the limited number of places you can get here. So I'm not planning on doing anything with D-Star, but that doesn't mean somebody else could. I think one of my going in assumptions is that I'm designing our network for District 5, or District 3. I'm designing our network so that I can easily peer with neighboring amateur radio wireless networks without having to run our network exactly the same way the folks in the neighboring regions do. We ought to be able to make our own decisions about how we run our networks and connect them together to the edges and pass traffic. And in fact, I think if we think about it a little bit and don't do things that really get in the way, we could probably even set up our networks so if a team from Albemarle came up to Culpeper and we needed to connect our devices to your network, I bet we could figure out how to do it.
Here.
Quick handoff.
No, I agree, and especially the emergency services side of it, that I think that's important. But that was one of the things that I've been giving a lot of thought to lately is if you're issuing keys for the Charlottesville area, you know, would it make sense for that to extend all the way up to Culpeper? My inclination is probably not, but if not, how do we ensure that we have a path between the two areas?
If we recognize, say, the Culpeper signing key, and Culpeper recognizes the Albemarle signing key, you know, if we have a key tree,
So we establish basically a
it could
mutual
happen almost
trust.
automatically.
We could do that, or
I don't know if the software supports the tree.
if we have a team from Culpeper down to assist with an emergency in Albemarle, I could just turn the signing off.
I guess the other thing that
If it's an emergency, we're going to do what we need to do.
Yeah. I mean, amateur radio needs its